We're back again with some more Wonderkids on FM26, and this time a little bit more affordable for those teams that haven't quite got the big bucks like some of the bigger teams do. Today we're going to be focusing on players that have got quite high potential, and we can probably sign them early doors for somewhere between 10 and 30 million pounds, which is still quite a hefty transfer fee. And we are going to do other videos with lower value players coming soon. But today it's 10 to 30 million bracket. Let's get into it. We've got a few players here that we have got on the shortlist, and as you can see here, looking at over the values, the worst one of the lot is Francesco Esposito, 25 to 30 million. A lot of you might know who he is from previous Football Managers. He was very good on the last Football Manager. He's also very good on this Football Manager as well. But I'm going to start with Jay Robinson from Southampton, who is 18 years young. 15.5 to 18 million pounds. He looks pretty decent to begin with. He actually has a dynamic potential range of 150 to 180. So what does he look like out the box? 119 current ability. And as I say, dynamic potential of 150 to 180. So a minimum you're going to get is a plus 31. But here we've got 166. So he's right slap bang in the middle of that potential ability range. He's got a hell of a lot of growth. A winger that's got a pretty good weaker foot and looks reasonably well-rounded to begin with. And like I say, with plenty of options for growth. Wanted by Forest straight away. Not a million miles away from being able to be affordable. But it's one of those ones where you need to get him, and he does need the game time. These players will need the game time. So it's one of those ones where you do need to bring them into the squad and start giving them game time pretty much straight away to try and help them get to their potential. But Jay Robinson is the first name on our list. Next up, we're going to West Ham United and Luis Guilherme. It's the second time we've gone to West Ham in these Wonderkid videos, because we were there with Mateus Fernandes last time out. Well, today it's Luis Guilherme, who is 19 years young, attacking midfield, centre, and on the right, Brazilian. As I say, pretty good out the box, good strong foot. The weak foot's not great, 21 to 29 million, so he's a bit more expensive than Jay Robinson, and in my opinion looks a little bit worse straight off the outset. Although the current ability is largely the same, it's 118 instead of 119. His potential ability is a dynamic range once again. It's a 150 to 180 for this guy as well, so he's hitting 167, so he's very similar to Jay Robinson in the sense that his potential ability is largely the same. And the question is who would you prefer, him or Jay Robinson? Because based on fact, he can play as a central attacking midfielder, based on his attributes and what I'm looking at, for me, he lends himself to being a little bit more wingerified than Cam, personally, because of the pace, the agility, the dribbling, first touch, the passing vision is a little bit low for a Cam. But that's not to say he wouldn't improve over time, and he has got plenty of room for growth, and still 21 to 29 million pounds is still a very good price indeed. But like I said with Jay Robinson, this guy will need to get into your team and start getting minutes straight away, because if you don't start giving them minutes and you give them a couple of seasons of wasted time, they're going to do nothing for you. They're not really going to be able to reach their potential. Now, you could get them in and try and get them out on loan somewhere, absolutely, because he's 19, so he's never going to get homegrown at club. Now, one thing that is positive with Jay Robinson is he is 18, so if you sign him straight away, the first thing you do when you start the game, you could get him homegrown at club. If you keep him at your club and play him quite a bit, when you get into Europe, or when you're in Europe, he can be one of your homegrown at club registration slots, which will be worth its weight in gold. And when he gets to his potential of 167, 166 in this, he'll be very, very good. Keep him for years to come. Let's go back to Jay Robinson during Luis Guilherme's section. We move on. Francesco Esposito is third up, and he, out the box, looks fantastic. He's very good. Good finishing, good off the ball, decent composure. His acceleration and pace is all right. He's got a good balance, good jumping reach. He's 6'2", good heading. He's all round very good as a striker. He's very well rounded. He's the most expensive person on this list, 25 to 30 million pounds, and he's playing for Inter Milan, so he's playing for a team that might be very difficult to sort of pry him away from. That being said, he might not be getting the game time early doors, so you might be able to snaffle him away. Best of luck with that. He's at 137 to begin with, and once again, like the previous two, 150 to 180 in the potential ability range. He's hitting 169 in this database, so he's got plenty of room for growth, and if he hits that potential, which I'm sure he would with the game time, he'd be quite the superstar. This guy, we touched in on this guy previously in the 160 to 190 bracket, the best dynamic potential players. Luca Barnet. Well, he's back again as this time one of the best players for under 30 million pounds. 14.5 to 20 million. Not very good straight out the box. He is only 16. He is at Spurs as well, so it might be quite hard to get him away from. 181 in this database, if you remember correctly. He didn't actually fulfill his potential when we actually get there, but he does look pretty good when we get to the end. So we will check in on him in a few years just to see how he has progressed. As a reminder for those who can't remember from the previous video, or for those who haven't seen the previous video, he starts out 105. It'd be very difficult to get him in your team and give him the game time that he needs early doors, but he is 16, so you have got a couple of years grace of him where you can put him in the youth teams and he can become pretty decent. And you've also got that extra couple of years to help get him homegrown at club. So if you've got 5 years to hit that 3-year bracket, you could get him in and you could spend a couple of years in the youth team, and then you could send him out on loan, and then you could come back after a year on loan. He could look much the better player and maybe start bleeding him into the team, giving him a few starts, giving him a few off the bench appearances, get him that other year homegrown at club, then a final year of loan maybe. I don't know, up to you guys. But 14.5 to 20 million, decent prospect, very versatile, can very much get homegrown at club. Personally, if it was me, I'd be looking at him or Jay Robinson as the two main options at the moment. Jay Robinson would probably be my favourite option just because he's better straight away. But he's got a very good weak foot, very strong weak foot, Luca Williams Barnet, and he's got much higher potential in this database. So of course, if you've not got the editor on, you're not going to know who's better. And there's a very high possibility that Jay Robinson could be better because it's 150 to 180 or 160 to 190. Like, Jay Robinson could have hit 180 or 179. Luca Williams Barnet could have beat 160. So it could flip reverse, Blazing Squad style. But as it stands, he's got a high potential, decent value, and we move. Ilias Akhomach at Villarreal. Now, he is pretty versatile, although he's not natural or even accomplished in any other position other than attacking midfield right. He is left-footed, so you want him to play him as an inside forward, personally. He's got good pace and acceleration. He's just one attribute away from changing colour, which would make him look all the better in terms of physicality. Great agility, great flair, great technique, great dribbling, great first touch. Just needs, again, another one on the first touch and the vision, and all of a sudden he's got 3 or 4 more greens, and he'd be looking absolutely insane. He's got a fixed current ability, fixed potential ability, should I say, of 165. Starts out at 138, so he is guaranteed. You give him the game time, he will pretty much inevitably get to that 165 potential ability, which is another 27 attribute points. So that's more than enough to hit those milestones on some of these 15s, and even on some of the 14s. Like, he could hit some of those 14s up into the 16s, and if concentration changes up to 11 and strength, all of a sudden you're losing a couple of whites into the oranges and a couple of oranges going into the greens, and he looks like a superstar. So 22 to 26 million pounds. Could even retrain him as a cam because he can already play there, and he has got pretty good vision and passing. You know, two, in my opinion, very important attributes for a central attacking midfielder. And yeah, you know, looking a very good player. So is he worth the value? Absolutely. And with the fixed potential ability, you know, you sort of know what you're getting. Not as much of a gamble. Not as much of a gamble. Again, he isn't in the 130s to begin with, so he does need the game time, and he will, you know, it's one of those ones that if he's good enough to get in your team, you might not have that money. If you've got that money, you might have players that are too good for him, too good to sort of try and bleed him in. So do try and squad rotate, and do try and get in the game time so they can fulfill that potential. Up next, it's old Jeremy Monga, who is at Leicester City, 15 to 17.5 million. 15 years old. He turns 16 in 3 days' time. So he's basically going to be 16 from the start of the save game. If you could buy him early doors, once again, like I said previously, you've got 5 years. Just like I was saying with Luca Williams Barnet, you've got 5 years to try and get him homegrown at club. He's got a very strong weaker foot as well. Great dribbling, great acceleration, great balance, very good pace, which will only improve as he gets older. Great flair, you know, straight away he's got some very good core key attributes for a winger. And again, if you retrain him to play on the right as well, he could play either side with a strong weak foot, as an inside forward, as a winger. Crossing's a bit to be desired, but again, he's only 15 years old, about to turn 16. He will potentially get there. In terms of his current ability, he starts out at 124. His potential ability here is 164, and he is a 150 to 180 range. Once again, so we've talked about 150 to 180 previously with Jay Robinson, Luis Guilherme, and Francesco Esposito. Jeremy Monga is once again in that bracket. So at 164, he sort of hit himself straight down the middle there. He could be a bit worse, he could be a bit better, but he starts out looking pretty decent. Is he good enough to spend 16, 17 million pounds on straight away? If you've got the spare money and you're looking for a winger for the future and you've got a couple of players that you got that you might try and sell on in the near future, he's definitely worth a punt. He's definitely worth a punt. So Jeremy Monga at Leicester City, who are also, let it be known, in the championship of the English league structure. So you might have a much easier time getting your greasy little mitts on him because he is currently at Leicester in the championship, especially if you're a Premier League club. So do bear him in mind. He's a very good player. Up next, a very game show, didn't it? Jayden Dans. Now he's at Liverpool. Now straight away, a few things that we've spoken about previously about some of the positives with some of the other guys. We're going to have to just call a spade and say this might not be great. One, he's 19, so he's never getting homegrown at club unless you start out as Liverpool, and then you don't need to sign him. Two, he's a similar price to quite a few of the other players that we've sort of seen. Three, his weaker foot is not great. However, that being said, we've slagged him off. Let's talk about the positives. He's very well rounded as a striker, and he can also play somewhat in the other attacking three roles. Now, personally, he might be suitable to play as an inside forward and maybe a bit of a winger, but he's very good. He's got very good mentals for a young player, and he starts out at 121. 121 is pretty weak. Now, you're seeing 165 potential ability here. Here's the kicker. That's fixed. This is not dynamic. Jayden Dans has got 44 attribute points to play with to go on top of this, and this is a great foundation of a player. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing how Jayden progresses when we skip forward in a few minutes' time, because I think he looks pretty decent despite his flaws and how I think some of the other ones might be slightly better prospects. And another issue you've got here is he is playing for Liverpool, a bigger team. It might be much harder to prize him away from. Keep him in mind, drop him on the list, drop him on your shortlist and keep an eye on him, because he might want a new contract. He might want to be starting to get some more playing time. They might try and put him out on loan. You get a loan with an optional future fee. You could be laughing. Jayden Dans from Liverpool. Omar El Hilali, a very versatile youngster. 21 years old though. Some of his best growth years are a little bit behind him. He's already at 21, so he's not going to be ideal. That being said, he can play centre-back to a reasonably decent standard. He's 6 foot, but he's also primarily a right-back and can also play on the left. Now, his left foot is only reasonable, so you might not want to play him as a left-back unless you're playing inverted. But personally, decent crossing, decent dribbling, his tackling's good, good aggression, okay work rate, pace, acceleration. You know, he's okay as a right back. 13 to 15 million pounds. He'd be quite good as a squad option just to have as a backup, and then he would improve over time. You might make a profit. You know, he's not amazing, but I would certainly take him on my United save at the minute as my backup right back behind Diego Dallo. So, you know, for 13 to 15 million pounds, and he's only Espanyol, I think you should be able to quite easily attract him away. 140 current ability, so he hasn't got loads of growth in him at 165 potential. Once again, this is fixed. There's not a dynamic potential with this guy. 165 is what you're going to get, and as you can see here, he's got a fairly professional personality, which lends itself to the fact that he probably will hit that potential given the game time in a competent enough league. But one of the weaker options on this list from my perspective personally, because I don't quite know what he is. I don't know if he's a centre-back or a wing-back. I think he's jack of all trades, master of none here, but he is very versatile, so he could be a good option. I don't know. Depends what you need, but personally, needs to include him on the list because he's well within the bracket and he's got a fixed potential ability and he is one of the better players in this sort of bracket. I don't know where I'd use him. He would be a backup right back for me at United, but then I would be very quickly looking to shift him on. He wouldn't be my long-term replacement. He would be a backup that would get sold a couple of seasons on for hopefully double, triple what we paid for him. So, you know, and that's certainly an option. You know, some of these players you could be looking to buy to make a profit on. And I actually encourage you to do that with some of them, because some of them are only going to be getting you so far. You know, your 165 potential abilities, they're great. But when you're going to be winning the Champions League, you want to be having a 175, 180 player in some of those roles. So next, Harry Gray, the younger brother of Archie, who we spoke about in the previous video, who Tottenham wasted in the fixed potential ability video of Wonderkids that we did. Harry Gray, the younger brother of Archie, first time in the game, I believe. He would have been in the game, I think, last year, maybe. He might have brought him in. He would have been 15. It might be one of those where he was turning 16 so soon, he might have got special permission to get in. The game never came out, so let's not waste time and hypothesize whether he was in the game or not. He wasn't. He's an attacking midfielder or a striker or can play on the right wing. He's quite well rounded. A quadruple set of 14s there with your heading, first touch, finishing and dribbling. Okay crossing, great determination. Pace and acceleration is a bit on the low side for me for those kind of positions. That being said, he is only 16 and physicals really do come on leaps and bounds between the ages of, say, 16, 17, 18 and 19, really. So, yeah, a fairly strong weaker foot, 11 to 13 million pounds, and, yeah, he's on very, very low of a contract. He'll be wanting a new deal pretty quick. He's actually on a youth deal, so you might be able to sign him. You can't approach the signing, but you can make an offer. What would the agent say? Pleased to see... Yeah, okay. All right. Now, he starts out at 110, so there's a long way to go for him to hit his potential. Potential ability of 168 here. Once again, I have scoured through this database and I've tried to get as many of the 150 to 180s in this bracket as I can. He is once again 150 to 180, so he should be there at 168, there or thereabouts. At the very least, you're going to get a plus 40 current ability attribute boost. He's fairly determined, so that means he's probably got a pretty decent personality, which should, in theory, get him to the promised land of his potential. And he's got a pretty decent foundation. There's a lot of 10s here that, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 10s, 6 10s that I'm looking at. Realistically, okay, tackling you don't really need up in this area of the pitch more than 10. But all these 10s, a couple of these change to orange, boom, we're already changing. You got all these 14s. If they start changing to greens and a couple of the things on the pace and the agility, he's going to start looking like a monster. I'm very much looking forward to seeing him in 9 years' time when we've jumped forward. Once again, 16 years old, you've definitely got the opportunity to get him homegrown at club, which is worth its weight in gold. When you're young, when you're a team on the rise and you want to get some players in that you can maybe take forward, this guy could be in your team when you're in the Champions League last stages. Absolutely. Harry Gray is definitely a squad option at the very worst. So, yeah. And he can be versatile. You know, he's got a very strong weaker foot. Tread him there as well. He can play across all the front four. You are absolutely laughing with a player like that on the bench or starting. Ibrahim Mbaye at PSG, 16.5 to 20 million pounds, a little bit more on the expensive side of some of these transfers at PSG, so probably quite hard to draw away from. 17 years old, so you could get homegrown at club, only got a reasonable left foot. He is right-footed, and he's basically a winger or a wide forward, according to this. Doesn't want to really be cutting inside too much. Can play up front, can play on the left, mainly plays on the right. Decent, well-rounded sort of set of attributes. Nothing outstanding, nothing too bad. 115 current ability, so he's very much on the lower side of some of the current abilities that we've seen. That being said, once again, he's a 150 to 180, so his potential ability here of 169 could be worth a gamble, especially if you're looking for a winger and someone like Jay Robinson or Luca Williams Barnet and stuff like that. If they've not really tickled your pickle, Ibrahim Mbaye will be an option. Goncalo Moreira, a central midfielder or attacking midfielder, 19 years old, so homegrown and club is off the table. He's only got a reasonable left foot, so it's a little bit, you know, but he's 7.4 to 9 million pounds here. Now, that's probably because he has a lower end potential ability, 153. In the database that I was actually looking at downstairs where I loaded up, he was actually 18 to 22 million pounds. His potential ability range is 140 to 170. So he probably was hitting that 168, 169 sort of region, which gave him that higher value. Because he could have easily made it through to the next video of the man under 10 million sort of bracket and probably would have been better suited there given this current value. Because under 10 million, he looks fantastic. He's very well rounded. Once again, let's just go and look at his current ability. 112, 153 potential ability here. Again, for about £8.5 million, 100% worth a gamble. You play him a little bit, get him a little bit better, you could sign for 30, 40 million. Easy. Absolutely easily. And last, but certainly not least, Omar Janneh, 18 years old at Atletico Madrid. So might be quite difficult to pry away from. He is potentially going to get homegrown at club, got a strong, weaker foot, all good stuff, 12 to 17 million pounds. He's at 140 to 170 in terms of a dynamic range of potential ability. Here, he's got 97 current ability, which is the lowest we've seen. The first player we've seen under 100 current ability, so he's very, very low. His potential ability here is 164. So it's actually right sort of towards the top end of that dynamic range of 140 to 170. You're talking, what, 67 attribute point growth that he could have? Now, he's only got a balanced personality, so he might not be the best in terms of his growth. He's a little bit slow to begin with. And he's got no real massively redeeming attributes. 14 techniques okay, 13 first touches okay, 12 finishing. These all can grow. At 18 though, 12 strength is not bad, 13 acceleration, 13 stamina. But, you know, you need a little bit more improvement. That being said, how many 10s has he got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 10s. He starts improving across the board and goes up 1 attribute point across the board in all those 10s. All of a sudden, he looks like a tangerine over here. All orange. With no pith. I mean, the orange analogy is sort of getting away from me there. So that's it. That's the end of the list. And we are going to go forward and see how all these players got on. And did they actually reach that potential that we've already earmarked and set out for, or not? Let's go forward. Jay Robinson is currently at Sunderland at 27 years young, 20 to 24 million pounds. He starts off at 15 to 18 million. He hasn't really kicked on, has he? Which is disappointing. He's at 139, potential ability of 166. He hasn't made it. And why is that then? Well, he left Southampton to go to Nottingham Forest. He was a sub-merchant, went to Nottingham Forest, played 5 times in a season, then went to Leicester. They made a £3 million profit. Went to Leicester. 11 of those 20 appearances were off the bench, but he got a 7.06. Then Sunderland decided, you know what? We'll take a punt on him in the Premier League. They took a punt on him, barely bloody played him for 3 years, went down to the Championship, didn't play him at all. He played -1 games in the Cup, apparently. How the fuck does that work? And then finally, he started to play a few games, but again, he's coming off the bench quite a lot for Sunderland, and that's in the Championship, so that's disappointing. Jay Robinson was a bit of a flop, but that's because people haven't played him. I'm sure you guys can all appreciate and see the potential was there. Lewis Guilherme, Derby County. Now, this might be even worse. Now, he's up at £69 million, so 22 to 30 million was about the range, wasn't it? Or 22 to 29. He's on 150k a week. £69 million. He looks quite good. He's 10 away from his potential ability at 28 years old. He's got 10 caps, 4 goals for Brazil. He currently plays for Derby, who are in the Premier League. He is playing Premier League football, and he's been playing Premier League football for Derby for a long time. 21.5 million they signed him for from West Ham. West Ham, it took a few seasons for them to want to start playing him, and when they finally did, they were like, oh yeah, this guy's not too bad. He had a bad season there, then he left to go to Derby. I wonder if West Ham got relegated. Was a relegation release clause. Not too sure, but Lewis Guilherme, he's turned into quite the player. He looks all right. He does look all right. 10 away from his potential ability, but he only cost Derby £21 million, and he's done a good job for them. And where are Derby? Derby's been finishing mid-table in the Premier League. Yeah, last 3 seasons he got 15th, 9th, and 11th, I think. So that's pretty good. Okay. Oh, Francesco Esposito is at Leeds, and unfortunately, he's not really kicked on, has he? Nothing's really changed. Maybe it has marginally. He's at 140, potential ability 169. He moved to Leeds when? Oh, after years of barely playing at Inter Milan. Went on loan to Aston Villa, and he played him once. He's moved to Leeds on loan, and that's now become permanent at 14.25 million. He scored 16 and 35. Hands down his best season, but he's taken to 29 years old. Once again, we're seeing now a product of the incompetence of the AI. Francesco Esposito should have done much better. Unfortunately, he did not. We won't spend much time looking at Luca Williams-Barnet, but we did look in on previously. 181 was his dynamic range of potential ability. He got to 165. He has improved greatly, but not anywhere near like he should have done. He hasn't played anywhere near as much as he should have done either, which is a shame. 95 million to 128 million. He is only 25 years old, so he still has got a bit of growth available to him. So, yeah, one of the ones that has done reasonably well. But he was one of the ones that did worse in the previous video, so that's why it's still a bit meh. But he has done much better than some of the players we've seen previously, so we'll see. On we move. Ilias Akhomach. He's gone to Newcastle. Now, he looks pretty good. He does look pretty good indeed. 107 to 129 million pounds. Newcastle got him for free from Villarreal. He was playing pretty religiously for Villarreal. First season he played 11 games. Then... No, sorry, that's real life. This is the first season. 17 games, 1 off the bench. Then he became a bit of a first team regular. Once again, he played -1 game in the Cup. Like, what's going on? Then he came to Newcastle on a free, and he's got in the first team in Newcastle, barely coming off the bench. I'd be very surprised if he's not at that 165 potential ability. And he is. He's at 164. As I've said previously, if he gets within 1, sometimes you can't hit that next point because the attribute that you'd move up would actually move you up by 2. By 2 current ability points. I've just absolutely whacked the mic and the camera. Or the mic's actually waxed the camera at the same time. There we go. Is that how it was? That's how it's going to be. Next up is Jeremy Monga, Leicester's Jeremy Monga, who's now at Brighton. And he looks all right. 24 years old. £117 million is his contract. That is minimum fee release clause of clubs in the Champions League. Sign Monga as a priority according to the scouts. He looks pretty decent. He has hit his potential of 164 to 163 out of 164. Again, the dynamic range of potential 150 to 180. He's hit it. He's got good pace and acceleration, good dribbling. He's a very good winger, actually. And that's what he is. So, yeah, I can say fair play. Brighton bought him for £26.5 million from Leicester, where he played at Leicester. Brighton didn't play him loads in the first couple of seasons, but then he started to really kick on and hold down a spot in the league. Hold down a spot in the Brighton team. And there he is. Never been capped, though, by England. It's a shame. Jayden Dans, he's gone to AS Monaco. He was signed for free. Oh, he's barely played. He's not going to have done anything. Good foundation. He has improved somewhat, but not enough. 143 out of 165. Disappointing for Jayden Dans. Omar El Hilali, he's at Real Sociedad. Again, he's improved a bit. Some of his attributes have improved from where he was at. He's now 30. He's 7 away from his potential ability of 165. Got to 158. 73 million to 84 million. I mean, you'd make that profit, like I said. He looks half decent. Be a good squad option to keep around. Yeah. Harry Gray next. I'm excited about Harry Gray. He's at Eintracht Frankfurt and unfortunately not looking unbelievable. However, he's at 82 to 96 million pounds. 3 caps, 2 goals for England. Is it because there's no greens? There's a lot of 15s actually now on reflection looking at it. What's his current and potential ability saying? He's 18 away. Got to 150. He's 25 years old. He's got plenty of time left in him to actually hit that potential. He's just signed for free for Eintracht Frankfurt. He's actually went to Spurs for 17.5 million and they've wasted him. Leeds were doing sod all with him as well. That's a shame. That is a shame because he has actually improved quite a lot for someone who's barely ever played. It looks worse than it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 attributes there that are at 15. If you had one more on all of those and he hit his potential, they'd all be at 16. He'd look world class. So, yeah. Unlucky, Harry. Disappointing that you've been ruined by Spurs. Ibrahim Mbaye is at Bayer Leverkusen, 26 years old. 57 to 69 million pounds. Looks all right. Don't think he's been used much at PSG. He's at 153 out of 169. Let's see what PSG did with him. Cool. He played, 5 or 6 games for them. Basically spent most of his time at PSG too. And then he's gone to Bayer Leverkusen for free, where he's had 1 season of being a starter. Everything else, he's been a bit of a sub-merchant. So, 57, 69 million pounds. He looks half decent. He's 26 years old. I would not be paying that price for that player at this age. But he could have been so much more given the game time. Make sure you play them. The penultimate player, Goncalo Moreira, however you spell it. He's gone to Bergamo, aka Atalanta, I think that is. Okay, I quite like the look of him. The central midfielder and a cam, 55 to 67 million pounds. Quite a few 15s that could just tweak up and he could just be a little bit better. He left Benfica on a free, went to Frankfurt, then went to Lyon on loan, then Atalanta on loan. Now he's gone for 55 million. Maybe that's where his values come from. Frankfurt weren't feeling him. 152 out of 153, yeah. So he has hit his potential. He looks pretty good. So there's what I'm saying though. £55 million has just been spent on a player that got to 152, and that's what a 152 player looks like. You know, if you get in a player and you're thinking he's only going to get to about that, and you're getting him for like 10, 12 million pounds, look at the profit you can make. And if they're in form and playing a lot, you could demand 60, 70 million for one of these players quite easily. That's what the AI wants to do. Anyway, Goncalo Moreira, his potential looks decent. Fair play. Finally, last but not least, it's Omar Janneh, who's gone to OGC Nice, and oh dear. 23 to 33 million pounds. He's barely even improved. He's at 135 out of 164. He's not played, has he? Atletico Madrid, 2 games for Atletico Madrid, 6 all off the bench, 2, 1. Disappointing indeed. Okay, well, there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. There we go then. That is the end of the bargain-ish Wonderkids have been somewhere between 10 and 30 million pounds. I think you can all agree that some of them made it and some of them didn't. And the ones that didn't, it was all down to game time, that if you're in charge of them, I'm sure you give them that game time and they'd probably hit that potential. I think they'd all be worth it for the prices that are there, because we've seen that even some of them that are a bit worse have been sold for far more. So that would be something that you could be considering as you move through your save games. 10 to 30 million is a very reasonable amount for a Wonderkid. And there's quite a lot of them there. I will put a list of those players and their fixed or dynamic potential in the description here, so you can keep referring back to it if you need to. Like the video, subscribe if you're new, if you enjoyed this video, but let me know in the comments down below if you signed any of these players, who you were and how much you signed them for. I'd be very interested to know all this. And yeah, go and follow me on Twitch if you want to see me playing through this as a live thing. And yeah, check back in soon for more experiments, more Wonderkid videos and all that jazz. So yeah, thank you very much. Take good care of yourselves. I'll see you soon. What a shit outro that was.